Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good.
It would have been early 2018 when I first heard about Julie Peters.
Noah was writing a book on the history of trans in Australia. And, you know, I guess I'm part of that history, so he interviewed me.
It was somewhere in the middle of my interview with Julie that she let it slip out that she had something like 7 filing cabinets worth of papers at her house. And I think both my ears and my eyebrows pricked up when she said that.
Number of filing cabinets. Well, I've got 7 in the front room, 5 in the back room, maybe 4 or 5 up the paddock. And then I've got overflow. Like I've got lots of archive boxes where when they just don't fit in the filing cabinets. So this is the 70s and 80s mainly.
Okay,
I was just absolutely in awe at this amount of stuff that someone had saved over the years. She showed me a bit through the filing cabinets, she showed me a bit around and left me alone in that room to take digital scans of stuff.
How about that? Gender identity retraining centers.
It is quite possible that this is the most comprehensive archive of trans history in Australia.
I was looking everywhere and anywhere I could. You know, I would buy books from sex shops because I had something about trans. I would go to the university and go through the medical archives and to try and store papers about trans.
She had a lot of newspaper and magazine clippings going back to the 1970s. And pretty much any time she came across any record having anything to do with gender diversity, trans, drag, feminism, she saved it. She cut it out.
All these different stories together, sort of in a way, oddly speaking, became my mentor, my peer, my therapist, my friends. I certainly consider my book collection and my music collection and my movie collection on DVD, Blu-ray, as part of my archive. So, 1960 we see Psycho. In it, this woman is stabbed to death by a man dressed as a woman. What was interesting to me, in every film I saw, the trans person was either a murderer, was murdered, or suicides. Of course, I was horrified by that.
The world can be a very, very unforgiving place for trans women, and it is to this day an unforgiving and unsafe place for us. It takes, I think, a remarkable amount of integrity and sense of self to be so clear about who you are in a world that literally tells you you should not exist.
This one. The main archive of all the different looks I've tried out are my photographs, and most of them were selfies way before it became trendy to do selfies. Yeah, in my day, you had to put the camera on a tripod and put the timer on, then run to the other end of the room and it goes click, and then it takes your photo. And I reckon I've got 4,000 photos. But that was me trying to work out how all the different ways I could do gender. I tried really high femme looks, I tried girl next door looks, I tried, you know, showgirl looks, I tried all sorts of looks. I just want to be cool and sophisticated rather than daggy. And that photography was in fact part of me learning how to perform gender, because I would then get the feedback back in the photograph and go, oh, okay, I did that one well, that was really crazy, don't do that, you know, and so, yeah, the photographs were really very much a part of me learning gender.
I've been gently pushing Julie for years to donate her archive. I imagine that other libraries would love to get their hands on Julie's material, but I think the Australian Queer Archives is the perfect home for it because it speaks to so many different aspects of LGBTIQ+ history. And it's quite clear she just wasn't ready, but slowly I think she's now becoming ready to hand this over for posterity.
I still have some friends who tell me I'm a hoarder, not an archivist. And so I don't want them to get hold of my archive ever, because they're just going to throw it in the bin. My gut feeling is it'll be more loved than the Australian Queer Archive.
It's got pretty much 100 years of Australian queer history being preserved here. And it was founded in 1978 by activists at the time who realized that it was really important to preserve what they were doing for future generations.
Very much part of why I've been so out over so many years is to make it better for following generations, because I felt really, really limited by the fact that I didn't get my act together on trans until I was almost 40. Whereas, I've now met people who've transitioned between grade 6 and grade 7, and I would have loved that. I would have achieved so much more in life if that had have happened with me.
I think it is imperative to know your history and for there to be access to it. So I think an archive of trans history is beautiful and so important. Quite honestly, trans people are fabulous. We deserve to be celebrated.
Part of me really loves that idea of getting my archive out there, but part of it is also my growing up. I don't need it, but it's sort of nostalgic. And I think, my life is in that archive to an extent. You think, that story I read in 1975 had an influence on me. And so, in a way, it was this archive that constructed who I am today.
I am keenly aware of the fact that I would not be here being able to do the things that I'm doing without women like Juile. So to her, I owe a lot.
What I would really love is that anybody who is trans is just comfortable being trans, and everybody knowing they're trans, but nobody caring. Just going, oh yeah, that's Fred. He transitioned from a girl to a boy. No big deal. What's a big deal?